Justo.
Welcome to the Dance to Oneness Podcast. My name is Amy Shine. This is episode 17 of this episode's called The Joy of Movement. And I have a guest here today, Miss Beautiful Alba Molteni. I'll probably get that wrong. How do I say your last name, Alba?
Molteni. You did it perfectly.
She's
there you
my
go.
beautiful Spanish friend. Obviously, I would butcher the Spanish language. So,
Actually, you're gonna have a crack because it's Italian.
Oh, okay. So are you a bit Italian as well as Spanish?
So my dad is French, and my dad's dad was Italian, and my mom is Mexican with Irish blood as well. Apparently,
Oh,
so I'm like,
wow. You got a
pretty
nice
cool.
mixture. Yeah, no wonder you're so potent. So Alba is she's an Access Consciousness Facilitator, first of all, and then she has lots of different hats. She's a Talk to the Entity Facilitator. She is a Joy of Business Facilitator. She is a Being You Facilitator. And she's also, I know she does a lot of translating for Access. But one of the things I know about Alba too is that she actually enjoys her body. She's one of the rare people on the planet who has fun with her body. And from what I've seen is she doesn't really judge it. And she actually has a joy of movement. So I'm really glad you picked this topic, joy of movement, because I know you do move your body for the joy of it. So could you talk about, maybe to get us started, like what is the joy of movement to you? And did you always have that? Or is that something you kind of had to work at?
Well, I wish I was able to say that I never judge my body. Like, really, what would it take? There's still sometimes some places where that comes up, and then I start using the tools and asking questions, and that changes it. But I really have to be diligent with it. I think that's one of the most dynamic, ways that, like, people are so used to criticizing it or to not be. So many words in Spanish are coming my mind, and like that doesn't translate. That doesn't translate. That doesn't translate either. I have like be okay with it, but not like the word okay makes it like so brief. Like what I mean is like we are so used to for judging it, but that's like the way that you relate to people. You know, like when you're growing up, like, oh, you're a woman, you don't have big boobs when you're 14. Oh, you're late. Oh, it's gonna be so hard on you. Or if you're a man, like, I don't have any pubes yet. You know, like, what is going on? When is that gonna happen? And we find ways to always make ourselves and our bodies less than what they could do. I've always had the joy of movement because I actually started doing gymnastics when I was 3. And then I went for it like for 7 years, and I've done all kinds of sports. So I don't know which came first. Like if it was nature that was pulling me to just be with it and enjoy it, or if it was really like the need that my body had to, hey girl, let's go move, let's go walk a while, let's go run. I was always the silly kid that was climbing from the top of the tree, or just running around with the dogs, you know, like not even engaging so much with people, but having those two there. And I'm actually very grateful. I'm very blessed because my parents always allowed everything like that to happen. Like they were never like, you shouldn't be doing this because you're a girl, or come on, can you behave properly? Like just sit down, like be quiet. They weren't like that. So they always allowed that space to be there. What would it take for more people and more parents to actually allow their kids to go bonkers with their kids? It really does create something different. And I'm super grateful that I had that. And in the same way, it's like I've also been needing to be very aware of where do I stop myself, like where if, because for some time I actually did 2 half Ironmans. So it's like 70 miles of nonstop moving your body, either swimming, biking, or running. And when I was doing all of that, I was also very aware the way that other athletes were moving their body, like the push and the you need to struggle. Like, of course, it's not gonna be easy to be jumping around when you cross the finish line. Like, of course, it needs to be sweat, blood, and tears. And I was like, I'm actually having fun just celebrating that I was able to run for 2 hours that I've never done before, or that I finished a bike ride that was 6 hours the first time, but it really is that, okay, so why, not even a why, but yeah, from which space are you choosing to move your body? I think that's where the key part is, because I've changed so much along the way. Like, oh, I'm bored with that, I don't want to do that sport anymore, so let's find this, and let's find this, and let's find this. And at some point I did flag football. That's actually how I finished college in Mexico, which is super fun to say. But I remember, like, wow, all the sports that I had done were actually the training so I can be as proficient as I was playing flag football and actually having to have a scholarship. So if I didn't had, like, it was my body showing me all the different moves and all the different ways that it could do all of the things that you need to do when you're playing flag football. I was like, oh, I learned this in volleyball. Oh, I learned this when I was actually doing like a 400 run, or da 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 da. And it's that way of like, how much fun can I have with my body, instead of how long do I need to run or how faster do I need to run. That's changed a lot. I used to watch my time and my clock, like, all the time, like, at what pace am I running? Oh, I'm going too fast, or I'm going too slow. And I would always measure it against the clock instead of just checking in with my body to see how it felt for him. Like, hey, are you sure that you want to run this fast? Or hey, are you sure you don't want to like do some different kind of movement? And usually when I ask it questions, it just shows me like, hey, maybe you could do this today.
I love that, Alba. Actually, someone wrote, we have some comments in the chat here. It seems like there's lots of Spanish people here, Denora, Luisa, but someone also wrote that she loved that question you just gave. From what space are you choosing to move? Instead of what we normally hear, no pain, no gain. And it
Exactly.
is a totally
Ooh.
different reality. I also just want to go back to the opening comment you made. I'd love to tie this in because I actually love this. The piece you gave about nature. You don't actually hear a lot of people talk about bringing, like, a lot of people don't associate like their bodies with the earth and with nature and
Oh.
movement with that. And I
Mm.
love that you actually even included that in your bio, that like you talked about, you didn't know whether it was, you weren't sure whether it was your body desiring the movement or whether it was the nature, like almost
Yeah.
contributing to your body, showing you the joy of body. So and I grew up in Ireland where I also had parents who were like, off you go. And we would just like run around the fields and the roads and the forestry for the whole day and then come back in for our dinner when we were hungry. And we
Mm.
had that freedom with our bodies. Could you talk, like maybe speak a bit more to that, like what it is for you with nature and movement?
What I Maybe the word that I should have used, like, I don't know which pulled me into, because it really was like nature inviting me to play with her, to just acknowledge like the beauty of it. Like I said, I was very blessed that my dad was the one that encouraged that like wonder of, wow, look at how strong the wind is blowing. Like, I can see your palm trees behind you that are just dancing away with no care if they look okay, if they don't, if they have the right height. They're just being there, contributing, giving you shade and giving you sounds that would not exist if they weren't there. So nature for me is this space of nurturance that you really have to be the one that chooses to engage with it. Nature is always going to be there, but you're the one that needs to actually choose, open the door, leave the house, and say hi to a tree, or go to a forest, or play with your dogs. Like, even if you had dogs, how many of you actually is the dog that asks you, like, hey, can you step away from the desk for 2 seconds? Hey, do you mind walking and just showing me around the neighborhood? And they're aware even more so sometimes than we are when we need some downtime, which is actually, I don't think it's really downtime. I think it's like a recharging with nature time. It's like, okay, if you get your body movement moving, you'll appreciate it in a different way. I am talking to the Entities Facilitator, and I have a very funny anecdote. I don't know why I'm remembering this. I was running in the forest here in Mexico, and I was running in a really small trail. There wasn't a lot of space from side to side. There was just big trees and big rocks around it. And I remember like I was running and running and running, and all of a sudden I was like, oh, there's a runner behind me. I'm gonna step aside just to allow him to pass because it was very narrow. So I did that, and I was like, well, that's weird. He should have already catch up with me. Like I moved aside, he had space, whatever. And I kept running, but there was a curb, so I didn't see anyone. Oh, okay. And I kept running, and then again, it was like that nagging sense of like, move away, you're in my way. So at one time, I just stopped, looked back, no one around. I was the only runner that was there, and I was like, oh, entities. How many nature entities were also just playing with me? And they were actually like playing with me running. Like, yeah, we know you're running. We can run as well. Yeah, you do have a body. We're different, but we can play. So it's just so interesting how many things, how many situations can get created by your willingness to step out into nature and to just play with it without giving it any significance. It's not like, oh, you need to go and make a ritual. No, just go, take your body out and see what happens. And actually, if you lose your brain, my body has a very cool capacity that I'm very grateful for. It always finds pathways to walk. Like the very first time that I was in Dublin 2 years ago, I found a pathway that I was able to run for 18 kilometers at 6 a.m. with the sun rising right behind the sea. It was red as silk. It was amazing. I was like, how did you know that you had to run this way? Like I only pick one first like spot, like have a sense of what the terrain is, and then I just ask my body, hey body, can you show me what would it be fun to run to, or what would you like to walk to? And that's a question that you can also ask always, and then just see what shows up. Don't expect anything. Just allow it to be, and then your body will show you.
I love that. I love that you include the nature spirits as well, because I mean they're there when you're willing to get out of your head. But also, like, what if you're like someone right now who's sitting at home and it's like, I don't want to move. I don't feel like moving. I don't want to do anything. I don't like the gym. I don't want to go here. I don't want to exercise. Like, what are some tools or questions or processes that you've used to get you out of that feeling? Because we all wake up like feeling sometimes like I don't want to do anything. You know,
Yeah.
I don't want
So
to move.
from Yeah, totally. And I have that. I mean, I don't know when was the last time that I ran actually. And it's okay. I was like, oh, okay, my body's done running for this period. Maybe if I'm enticed with another weather, with another climate, with maybe I'll start again. But what I do when I'm there, I just put a hand in my chest and my hand in another place. Doesn't need to be anywhere significant. It's like, oh, you need to find the chakra. No, just feel your body. And then I just sit with my body and ask it to show me different energies that I've never been aware of. And usually that makes me go back to sleep for a while, like maybe 5 minutes of just doing that will actually like disconnect me in a different way. But it's a different kind of awareness that I have with my body when I'm actually actively like asking it to show me. And then after those 5 minutes, if I wake up or if I didn't fall asleep, it's like it's a completely different energy. And you can just ask, like, hey, buddy, can you show me something that I've never known about you before? Hey, buddy, can you show me the space of ease that we could be choosing right now? Hey, can you show me just something different than this yuck that I don't want to move? And then don't even like hop off the bed and put your sneakers on. You don't even have to do that. Just follow whatever pops into your mind, even if it's I gotta go to the toilet because it's 7 a.m. and that's what I do, and then just follow it from there. Okay, now what? So if you constantly be asking now what and now what and now what, and actually allow the universe to show you the now what that is possible, maybe you'll have a friend call you up and say, hey, do you want to go this? That's a type of movement. But we think that, oh, the joy of movement needs to come from dancing or doing sports or whatever. No, the joy of movement is enjoying one step at a time, even if it is from your living room to your kitchen. What would it take for everyone to be so connected as to feel the sense that the body has whenever it's being paid attention and not judged?
That is brilliant. You just said the joy of movement is enjoying one step at a time. That is brilliant. I love that because yeah, there is like the minute you see joy movement, think, oh yeah, I got to go find a brilliant dance class, or I got to go like find the next good movement, the next, because, and like, we are always looking for like that big thing, and
Yeah.
for me, it's
Yeah.
actually even, I'm so glad you said that. For me today, even like, um, I didn't go to yoga, or I didn't, I was planning on going to this,
Hmm.
I'm taking this strength fitness class. My body asked to do more weights. I've never done weights before, and I've done a few classes, and I love it. And today I was planning on going to it, and then like I got up, and the energy was just like, my body was like, no. The energy was no, and I kept trying to like force it, like kept asking again,
Yeah.
like, are you sure, body? Like,
Come
because
on.
my head wants to go.
Yeah.
And I actually got on the phone to a friend of ours, Becky, and I'm like, I'm tired, like I'm drained. And she's like, well, why don't you go back into bed? And I'm like, that brings up a lot of it, resistance. And
Yeah.
then I was like,
Yeah.
you know, um, and she said, well, what if you could, like, what if, like, being a billionaire, like, what if the energy of a billionaire was actually lying in bed, and
Oh,
I just
cool.
took it, and then I asked some questions, and then I was like, yeah, actually, you know what, I am going to get into bed. And I did, but that's movement,
Yeah.
because it's a
Totally.
choice. So it's like, where we decided, like you said, like the movement has to be and some days it could be go
Yeah.
dancing, go running. So thank you for addressing that.
And I love that question that Vicky sent, because even what space of relaxation can we choose to be when we don't force things? Like I've done force with my body many times when I was, you know, doing all this Ironman thing. Like I remember one time, the first time that I was running for 3 hours, and it was such an interesting thing. My all my legs felt like they were made out of jelly because I was so tired. I was running in the heat and whatever in the side of the road in a road in Mexico. And when I was finished, I was actually preparing to do my first full Ironman. And I was so tired that I was not really being present with my body. And I was about to go into the car for we to just leave. And my whole ankle bent over completely. And it was the size of a soccer ball in like 2 hours. And of course, goodbye training, goodbye Ironman. It was so short before the event would actually happen, and I was starting to use the questions of access consciousness, and I was like, wow. So did my body really wanted to do this, or it was just me, you know, following the inertia of everyone else that was doing it, and like you've already done it and you had so much ease in doing the first one, then of course you need to go to the bigger one. And my body was like, not really. Like, thank you for giving me all the training and I'm done. But it also showed me like, oh, I still need to be very aware when I stop training. Like the training doesn't feel like the body awareness does not end when you finish training. You need to be aware when you're crossing a street, for crying out loud, or where you're making quesadillas in the morning, or your hotcakes or whatever. You need to be aware of everything that is around you when your body is involved. And I think it's so easy for it to be automated. Like, oh, I've already done this. Like, I know the space. I know how many steps does it take for me to get to the kitchen. I don't need to be mindful about the stove. No. Like, what if your body awareness was so much more than what we've realized?
I love that. And I think the key point there is too, is like that thing of like, you don't have to follow it through. Like that's a big, like, oh, you started it, so now you need to finish it. And I think
Yeah.
that's one of the things for us, like, the ones who have a different awareness with our bodies, is that a lot of times our body only wants one or two classes of this thing, or a few months of this
Yeah.
thing, and then it goes
Yeah.
and it wants something else. To have allowance for that, like that you are changing all the time.
And to not make it wrong. Like, oh, okay, this is just something different. Okay, so body, okay, you're fed up with this. Can you just show me what else now? Like I have so much pleasure now. I have two dogs, and the same thing as nature. I don't know what pulls me. If it's the dogs that want to go out, or if it's my body that wants to go out, but it's just a different engagement with them. So even walking with them and just being with them is the joy of movement. And I actually enjoy watching them play. Like they also have a very different awareness and the joy of bodies. When you see two dogs running, chasing after each other, there's so much joy. They don't even care if you're furry, if you're not furry, if you're tall, if you have all your teeth, if you are from a determined breed. They just go for it, enjoy whatever in those 10 seconds is. And they like some dogs and they don't like some other dogs. And it's fine. But what if it wasn't a problem? It was just like, oh, different choice. So maybe if you're watching this, listening to this podcast, and you like to move a lot, maybe don't sign up for a year in a gym when you don't know if you're really going to use the full year. Maybe just try something that's a bit more flexible, that has more possibilities. Find a gym that has like 10 different classes, and then you can never go wrong because you can always choose something different there.
Yeah, go for those trial runs.
Exactly.
Amazing. Oh, well, Alba, thank you so much for joining us. You gave a lot of tools today. I'm taking away that question about putting my hands on my body and asking my body to show me what other energies that I have not accessed yet. I love that question.
Yeah, it's
So,
really yummy.
and moving from space. So also, like, just to, if anybody's looking for you, wants to contact you, can find you, where do they find you?
Yeah, you can find me at albamolteni.com. That's it. And you can find me
Mm.
on Facebook, Instagram, whatever, the same name. Nothing complicated. Thank you so much for having me, Amy. It was
Oh,
amazing.
you're so welcome. Thanks for coming on. I love the way you speak. You're like, you just like, your website just turned me on. I was like, oh. And her website, Alba's website is in the bio of this as well. So we'll have you on again, Alba, because there's lots of hats you wear. So I'd love to hear you talk about business and being you as well. So
For
thanks for
sure.
coming on today. And
My
thanks
pleasure.
everyone for watching. Bye for now.
Bye.